G'day, guys. Welcome back to Stat Chat Sports. You're here with myself, Steve, Tazza, and BT. No Josh again today. We'll be doing a bit of a special video today. We've got a Brownlow special for you. At the time of recording this, the Brownlow is this Sunday, the 18th. So we want to bring you, much like we did with the All-Australian, we want to bring you our thoughts on the Brownlow, who we think is going to win a top three, a little bit of a Smoky pick as well. And also a couple of head-to-heads on who's going to poll more votes between a couple of players. So, BT, let's start on yourself. A top three, plus a winner, of course. Who, in your mind, is going to get top three? And then, obviously, let us know your winner.
All right, so I'll start with third, work my way up. This one's going to be, this is very close, this Brownlow year, I think, and it's going to be between your top four. Could be minimal votes. So any of these could go any way. But I'm going to go with Andy Brayshaw. I think he's had an absolute solid year. Obviously, I think he's third, fourth favourite for the Brownlow. I don't think there's no one really there to take any votes off him. He dropped off a little bit towards the end of the season. If he had a few more better games at the end of the season, he probably would have been my pick. I think he's going to come in third. We don't know how well he polls, really, because he's still so young. There's definitely players who poll better than others. So it'll be interesting to see how well he actually does, but he's a solid year. My second, and this one's a little bit controversial, I'm going Lachie Neale, coming in number two. He's currently, right now, the favourite for the Brownlow. Obviously, solid player. But I think I've watched a lot of Brisbane game, and from my eye, could be completely wrong, that he hasn't been as good as he did when he won the Brownlow previously. There was obviously he's going to poll very well. He's known to poll as well, so he's got that on his side. But just from looking at it, I don't know how well he's going to poll, and I think he's going to get more of like a lot of twos, because Brisbane give up a lot of disposals they did throughout the whole season. So even when winning games, I think there could be players who get 3 votes type throughout that, and he could get a 2, which may cost him. He could run away with it easily. He's had a solid year. But I'm going with Paddy Cripps to win it. His start of the season, the first 7 rounds, he should be on hopefully 15 to 18 votes in the first 7-8 rounds. He dropped off throughout the middle of the season.
Massively. Really,
he shouldn't even be in contention with him getting off suspension. But his last 4 or 5 games, if he can somehow get 10 to 12 votes, he should be right there within 1 or 2 votes of winning this whole thing. So those last 4 or 5 rounds, I think if he can get those 10 to 11 votes, and he ended pretty well, he should be right there. So that's my top 3.
Okay, so Paddy, 1 for Paddy Cripps to take it out. Tazza, your top 3, mate?
I've got my 3 here, and I struggle so hard to put them in any order. So I'll go from 3 to 1, but like BT said, the top 4 is that close. The top 3 in my case, I can make a case for and against for all of them, and I just don't know which way it'll twist. But all right, at number 3, I'm going to go Touk Miller. His start to the season wasn't great, but he powered home like a steam train towards the end. The one thing he's got going for him here is there really isn't that many players to take votes off him. So obviously the Noah Anderson blossomed quite well this year, and he really come into his own as that number 2 midfielder for Gold Coast. So there are games where he will steal votes, but Touk is still the main man there. And being recognised as the coach's MVP at the All-Australian, there's clearly recognition. There's clearly they see him out there and they acknowledge how good he is. So for me, he's going to feature somewhere in that top 3. This one I'm so torn on. I'm going to go Neale at number 2 as well. The emergence of McCluggage for me has probably been another factor. There was a patch through the middle of the year where McCluggage went wild, and he was just, it was goals, it was possessions, and he will steal votes. definitely throughout the middle of the year. Neil had been susceptible to a tag where he will feature no votes, but there are times when Neil has just gone crazy. His effect on the game and his ability to turn the tide of a game has been well noted. And as BT alluded to, he is a former Brownlow winner. They know what he's capable of and they know what he can do. And so the umpires are automatically drawn to his game and to what he does. So I mean, he could quite easily win for me, but my winner is Andy Brayshaw. I think he can get it done. BT did speak about there aren't too many players that will take votes. Freo did win a decent amount of games. He did taper off towards the end of the season, but I think the start and the middle, he was pretty good up until his bye, and he's very solid up until his bye. And it was a bit stop-start for me, maybe towards the end. But I think that coupled with the fact that there aren't that many players in that team that will take votes, Sarong was never really that great towards maybe the end. There's only really Tabiner who might have scored a bag or two. Will Brodie has had fleeting performances to take votes, but I can't see that many votes being taken off Brayshaw, especially in wins. And he was pretty solid. He was tagged out once or twice, but I don't think he was really dominated at any stage of any game. And I think he will win for me.
Okay. I've got Josh's here. Now, obviously, I can't give the reasons as to why Josh has picked these three. However, he's picked two of the same as you fellas, but he's picked one extra as well. So I'll start at the bottom because it's the guy who neither of you have picked so far, Clayton Oliver. He's picking at number 3. Is there let's give Josh a little bit of backing here. Why would Clayton Oliver make the top 3?
Oh, he's had an absolute outstanding year for sure. He's currently second favourite for the Brown, just behind Lachie Neale. Very close odds. For sure, definitely. I think he's too short personally in these odds because there's a lot of players that can take votes off him. He definitely stands out. He's a contested player, beast, tackler, everything right there with the umpires who can see him. So he's definitely gone poll well. Me personally, I don't think he's going to poll well enough to make that top 3 because there's other players who will take votes, like a Petrarca, like a Gawn. Pickett, he had a few bags, those type of players. So I think they'll take votes off him.
And Tazza, do you agree?
Yeah, well, and coupled with the fact that Melbourne didn't have as good a year as they had last year. So, I mean, naturally, you need to win a lot of games to poll votes. The statistics show that. And given the fact that there are so many players that will poll votes in that team, I mean, it's probably the little ones and twos he may miss out on a little bit more, and that'll be the difference for not making the top 3. But he will be up there.
Yeah, I think he'll be up there as well. Definitely. Second was Andy Brayshaw, and Josh picked Lachie Neale to take it home, who I also believe Lachie Neale will take it home. Lachie Neale's my pick to win it. I think I've watched I've watched more finals footy in the last couple of weeks than what I probably have throughout most of the season. Just a bit more entertaining. And what I've seen Lachie Neale do, he's surprised me. Well, not necessarily, surprising is the wrong word, but he's wowed me. Let's say some of the plays that he makes. He did one on the weekend where he picked up the ball and almost did a 360 roly-poly, and still got the disposal away straight into the hands of another player. I can't remember if they got points off of it or not, but he's always around the footy. He's getting, I think he got 39 disposals against against Richmond. So in a final, 39 disposals. I think he had a shitload of clearances as well in that game.
16, 15 clearances, something like that.
Yeah.
It was a PB.
Yeah,
But he's an absolute beast.
Yeah, he's for me at the moment. I think he's probably the best player in the competition. I think, and I think for that reason, I mean, you speak a lot about other players stealing votes from him, which might be the case, but I still think in those games he'll still probably poll like 2 at least, and then in the games that he doesn't poll 2, he'll poll 3, and those votes of 2 or throughout the season will still be enough to put him right up there. I know I've gone backwards here, but so I apologize, but I think Andy Brayshaw will finish second for me. Much of the same. I think he definitely tapered off at some point. I don't know exactly when it was, but I said when Nat 5 came back that I felt like it would impact his game. I don't know if that was a direct correlation as to why he sort of dipped in form a little bit. But there's no denying he definitely dropped off to a degree. An absolute beast up until that point. I think at the midway point when we spoke about our the Brownlow pick at the halfway point of the season, I think I still had Brayshaw to win it. But then obviously he's slowed off a bit there. So I think for me that's what gives Lachie Neale that edge. And then I'm going to go for Cripps as number 3. Pretty much a similar reason to Brayshaw. Had a really good spell, and then an average spell, and then picked it back up again. But I think that there's less players in Fremantle's team to take the votes from Brayshaw, so I think he gets just a few more than Cripps. But it's probably going to be one of the closest Brownlow votes we've seen. Top 3 or top 4, maybe even like top 5. It's gonna be real tight up the top, I think. But yeah, that's my pick for the top 3. So, but yeah, let us. I want to know who the viewers think is a top 3. I think the consensus of the guys we've spoken about, they're gonna be up there. But if we're missing someone that should be up there, let us know. Speaking of someone that we might have missed out, we're gonna throw in a Smoky. The 4 of us a Smoky vote here, who we think not necessarily going to win, but someone who's going to poll a decent amount of votes that we haven't spoken about yet. Josh says Isaac Heaney. He's going to pull 8 games with 3 or more goals, 2 of which they're in losses. So he's pretty confident that he'll pull a fair few votes here.
To be honest with you, I think that's a bit of a spud call. He's had a good year, but I don't think he's going to poll that many votes. He deserved a be All-Australian, but he's not taking votes off a Mills or a Parker or a Papley or a Lloyd. All of these players, they're getting more votes than a Heaney. So I can see Heaney finishing under 10, to be honest.
Okay. A little bit of shade there. That's right. He's not here to defend himself.
Exactly. It's good to throw shade when they can't defend themselves. So I'll take over. I'll give you my Smoky.
Yeah, go on.
I'm going with Rory Laird from Adelaide. He's had absolutely, especially back end of the season, phenomenal. I don't know the exact stats, but I'm pretty sure he was leading disposals in the second half. And it was an outstanding season he had. Downfall, he plays for Adelaide. And that's where he's not going to poll very well. He'll finish top 6, I think. There's no chance of winning it, in my opinion, because these top guys are there. But I think he'll poll, I reckon, maybe around 18 or so, which is fairly solid for a team where Adelaide finished. So if he was in a better team and had this type of season and they finished top 8, top 6, he would have been right up there. But I think he will have a solid vote count, and I wouldn't be surprised if he wins one in the future.
Okay. It's a good call. Tazza?
Well, I want to go with my boy. Look, Connor Rozee, since his move into the midfield in round 5, there was no flat spot. That was his flat spot. Was rounds 1 to 4. I'm pretty sure he'll poll in round 5, and he will. I'm not going to say he'll poll every game because no player polls every game. No player. I don't know the streak, but I guarantee that someone hasn't done it for 18 rounds from round 5 onwards. but he was very consistent, and he was that move into the midfield, got Port on some sort of an even kill in terms of their record. Obviously, they didn't make finals, but they improved, and it was, to me, a direct correlation between Connor Rozee shifting from the forward line to the midfield. I reckon he'll poll somewhere around the 20 votes. Personally, I think he can crack that. He'll definitely crack the top 10 for me. And I mean, the world's his oyster next year.
Connor Rosee's still not as good as Sam Walsh, though. So
let's just turn it up.
Let's just move on. Let's just move on from Connor Rozee, one of the most overrated players in the whole comp. So, Steve, what's your
turn it up?
Ring the bell, fellas. Ding, ding, ding. All right. Back in your corners. Back in your corners. Yeah, I best be throwing out mine before we start a fight. I like the look of Callum Mills from Sydney. We all made the All Australian, albeit on the wing, which we don't like on this channel. But he also, I believe, he also made our combined All Australian from memory. But how important he's been to Sydney, both in the midfield and in the back line, which I believe he's played there a few times. He'll poll a fair amount of votes. I feel like he's definitely one to watch for Sydney in the future. I think he'll poll the most votes of a Sydney player, maybe likely to crack a top 10. But I like the look of Mills. I'm a bit of a fan of his, to be perfectly honest.
Solid year. I think last season he had it, but finally playing that full-time midfield role, and he's just shown how good of a contested player he is. Very versatile as well. Can kick goals and can go down back and intercept marks. So solid year. There's just a lot of players in that Sydney team who can take votes off each other. So, but I like that pick. That's better than a Connor Rozee pick.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah, look, good pick, but still not as good as my Connor Rozee pick.
All right. Tazza, are we going to put live on the podcast right now a bet? Who polls more between Connor Rozee and Callum Mills?
Hey, I like that one.
Yeah, no, look, I'll go, yeah.
Okay. Any ideas? I haven't got a clue what to throw up. This might have to be discussed off air.
Or in the comments.
Well, that's even better. I like that.
Yeah, that's not bad.
I like that. Let us know what the forfeit should be for the loser of this bet between myself and Tazza. It can be anything within reason. Don't go too crazy. We're not jumping off a bridge or anything like that. But keep it civil. And Tazza will do it at the end of the season. So
sounds good. You're on.
All right, fellas, a little bit of a head-to-head game here. A couple of players I'm going to throw towards you in a head-to-head, and you're going to tell me who is going to vote more polls. Who's going to pull more votes between the pair. Let's start with, two players we've spoken about already. Cripps or Tuk Tuk? Tazza, you go first. Who's polling more votes?
Tuk Tuk.
Tuk Tuk?
Well,
we all know where
I've got Cripps winning it.
Yeah.
So Cripps.
Yep. I would agree with Cripps. He was in my top three, and not Tuk Tuk. So I'd say Patrick Cripps as well. Bontempelli or Walsh?
Ooh. Hey, that's a good one. I'm going Bont because I don't want Walsh to poll votes. So I'm going Bont.
I'm going to go Walsh, I think. Walsh was injured for a little bit, so it's hard to say, but he gets off to a slow start, but I think he'll motor back. Yeah,
I think I'm going to go Bont. I mean, he's a favourite around the AFL, so he's going to poll votes just for probably being himself. Not to say he hasn't had a bad year or anything like that. He's had an okay year, but yeah, I think just the fact that it's Bontempelli, he'll pull some votes there. So, Nat Fyfe or Sam Taylor?
This is going to be a trick question.
I didn't come up with these, by the way. This was Josh.
It's going to be Sam Taylor, surely.
Yeah.
Is Fyfe even going to poll a vote?
Probably. You know what they're like.
Oh, that's true.
Boy.
He'll probably end up in the top 20 or some shit with this AFL.
How many games did he play this season?
Wouldn't have a clue. Who cares? He's irrelevant.
He'll pull 3 votes in all the games he's played this season. Just
It's got to be Sam Taylor. Sam Taylor had a solid year, so he surely will get some votes. He has to.
Yeah. 3 from 3, I assume. Tazza, no arguments there from yourself?
Sammy Taylor, yep.
Maxi Gawn or Charlie Curnow?
Hey, that's another tough one. I think I'll go Curnow. I think obviously Coleman, so I think those goals, I think we'll get him over the line.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I'm taking Curnow as well.
Yep.
Yeah. Coleman medalist.
I agree. JK or Robbie Gray?
Well, I'm going JK.
Yeah, I think JK as well.
Yeah.
I mean, Robbie Gray, I love him to bits. No, he'll be lucky to poll a vote.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, obviously Kennedy's going to poll at least one in that last game.
He should get 3 votes in that last game.
He should.
Yeah. He'll get 3 in that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, JK as well. Now, this is an interesting one. Who will poll more votes, the winner or the entirety of North Melbourne?
Josh, what's Josh done to us here? Far out. The winner you would say will be around the 27 to 30 mark. You would think. Can North Melbourne poll that many votes?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
I think so.
30.
I think North Melbourne will. I think you've got Lucky when he kicks bags, which he kicked maybe a handful of bags.
Yeah, I did it once or twice.
Yeah. Then you got Luke Davies-Uniacke, who had that purple patch of form. He'll have a couple of 2s, maybe a 3 every now and then. Oh, actually, probably have 1 3, but a couple of 2s and 1s. So I think he could poll 10 votes, Uniacke.
Really? 10?
I think he. Look, that 10 might be a stretch.
Yeah,
maybe
I think you push it.
Maybe
there.
8.
Remember, it is North Melbourne, and they gave up a lot of disposals and goals.
But he had a couple of games there where he just went ballistic, and he
did
just
have a good year.
Yeah.
As he swings you, BT.
Oh, no chance. I reckon North Melbourne will poll like 20 votes, and that's it.
You sound like you're trying to convince yourself, Tazza. Just go 3 for
that's what it sounds like.
I know. Yeah. It's the winner.
Yeah.
The winner.
Yeah, I think so as well. I absolutely think so as well. Well, let us know your thoughts on that. I know we've got a fair few North Melbourne followers on the channel, so I can imagine a fair few there that won't be happy with us. But that's going to wrap up the video. Definitely let us know your thoughts on the winner below. Let us know a Smoky thought as well. We don't want any boring ones. We don't want any kind of rosies in there. Let us know some real obscure ones. Just to have Tazza giving me the finger there. Glad you just couldn't see that. So we as always, we appreciate you for watching. Very close to 500 subscribers. So if you're new or if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure, please do. The goal is 500 before the grand final, and we're very, very close. So we appreciate you as always for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next one.